mean, what is the benefit you're gonna get if you really practice those sessions? Okay, because today it's like today for another batch, there it's like 26th session today. I asked all of a sudden there is something came like handler function, which is very recent. I mean, it's like a new feature in Spring itself, right? Spring introduced this feature around 8 to 9 months before. It's a completely new feature. Um, okay, then I asked a question. Um, what is function in Java? The same question, it's repeat for you, like it's our session, third session or fourth session we discussed, right? What is function? Uploaded all the videos into a separate Gmail, and I sent an email. So can you please check you got an email? So it should be something like this: MSK Spring batch1 at gmail.com. So going forward, you get emails from this. Okay, especially the material, but all the meeting schedules and you get it from my email ID only. So mine is Manaka Sumit, right? But daily message, right? Daily video upload message and the documentation sharing, you're gonna get it from this. Okay. So this email ID will be remains like further. This is going to be dedicated to your batch. Okay, dedicated to your batch. For another batch, I created another email ID. Okay. So because I don't want to delete data from my Google Drive, right? I have some limited space, so that's why I did that. Please check your Gmails. You would have received an email, right, from this MSK Spring Batch 1 at gmail.com. And I gave a folder access, view access. You see all the videos in one by one. Today I will prepare a sheet like daily wise what we discussed, day wise, and what are the assignments I gave it to you. So what you can do this weekend, you spend some long time, like we're not going to have any long session this weekend. You sit for a long time and do all the uh, assignments, complete all the assignments, and try to do hands-on whatever we discussed till now. Okay, so whatever we discussed till now, just try to complete, do it and hands-on. Okay, that is the only way we can, based on their um, uh, comfortability, they will use that particular login. Okay. Yeah, so this is all about logging. So with this, we are almost done with the Spring Boot core concepts, right? How do you enable logging? How do you enable profiles? How do you read configuration, right? And how to write a Spring Boot application, and what is AutoWide? What is the file size got increased? Let's close. Yeah, so what is um, CDI, SDI, right? Inversion of control, dependency pool, dependency injection, right? What is primary, what is qualifier, right? And how does the dependency resolution is going to happen, and how AutoWire works, right? Using bean post processor, how post distrib, pre-distrib works, and how to configure call lifecycle callbacking mechanism, and annotations, right? There are so many annotations we learn at configuration, at bean, at component scan, at config properties, at the property source, at import resource. There are so many annotations we learn, right? It depends on it, lazy, at scope. Yeah, all these are core concepts. These are going to be used in many modules, right? So whenever you are writing RESTful web services, so you will use all this configuration. And when you want to connect it to the database, again, we do use all these configurations. So without these basic concepts, you can't write any microservice or any Spring Boot application. Okay. Yeah. So there is one small concept which I missed, which is bean instantiation. Okay, I'll just quickly wrap this. One quick question to you all, right? Like we are already working on Java for a couple of years, right? The question here is, just a second. Yeah, the question here is, I have a class. Okay, very simple question. How many ways I can create an object for this class in Java?
4 ways, 3 ways.
Tell me what are all those? First thing is using
New operator.
exactly. What is the second way?
for name.
Yeah, class dot for name and loading, right? Again, it internally use new operator only.
Clone.
Using
Cloning,
reflection.
yes, using reflection.
Clone method.
Yeah, clone method. Yes, it's clone method, right? And sorry, class dot for name. Yeah, I do accept that. So this is class dot for name. C capital, right? Yeah, it's a method inside class, right? Yeah. Apart from this, mechanical mechanism wise, you do create by using static factory, right? So static factory is one of the way you can create an object. Right? Yeah. And instance factory. These two are little confusing things. Yeah. Instance factory, especially you get confused when I explain you about instance factory. So right, these are the mechanisms, right? So similarly in Spring also, we do have different mechanisms. For example, uh, just try to answer this. If I have something like this, private A, can I able to create the object for this class? How many ways I can create an object? And I want to create outside of this class, not inside. I'm talking, okay, just this class main we have, and inside this main we have main method. Here I want to create an object, right? Here I want to create an object for this class A. So what are all the possible things are allowed here?
Is reflection.
Exactly. One is reflection. That one is reflection.
Maybe static factories of the.
Exactly. So one is reflection, and the second is static factor, right? So based on some mechanism, we go and do it. So by using reflection, even you can instantiate a class when it is a private, right? Yes. Why I'm telling you is because in Spring also we have multiple configurations, right? We have XML configuration, we have Java configuration, or we have annotation configuration. So when you have different configurations, so which process is going to be used in which configuration? Okay, you must know that. Okay, so if you have a code something like this, class A, private A, so by using Java configuration, can be able to create a class A object using Spring. Even in Spring also, when you use Java configuration, when the class has a private constructor outside of that class, will you able to create object? No, right? Compiler won't allow, right? If you say new, how we are doing the Java object creation in Spring Java configuration, we are doing we are writing a method. Yeah, we are writing a method, and which gonna return type of A, and this is the ID. Inside this method, you are always writing new A, right? So you are using new operator for Spring configuration also. The difference between Spring and Java, right? This annotation, right? We don't call this method. This is going to be a callback automatically by Spring. So here you are using new operator. For example, for this class A, if I do Java configuration, will my code compile?
Yes.
No,
No,
it's
right? It is,
private constructor.
yeah, it is a private. So by using Java configuration, you can't be able to create object for class A, right? So that is not possible. But if I do configure something like this in XML, okay, it will work. Because XML configuration uses reflection internally, right? So XML configuration uses reflection internally. If it is an XML configuration, even though class has private constructor, there is no problem. Still that bean will be instantiated. But when it is coming to the Java configuration, right? So as it is going to be a full pure Java configuration, according to the Java, if class is a private, if class has a private constructor, that class will not be instantiated outside by using new operator. That is not possible, right? So the same rule even it's applicable for Java Spring Java configuration also. When the class has a private constructor, right, or default constructor, what is the scope of the default constructor, right, up to that package? What is the scope of the private argument up to that class? So outside of that class, if you are trying to create an object by using new operator, then you get compilation error in native Java also, in Spring Java configuration also. There is no difference. But if it is an XML configuration, the things will be working because XML configuration uses reflection API, right? Even though the class has a private constructor, you can still instantiate a particular class object by using reflection. There is no problem. Okay, so this is one thing which you have to remember. Let's see one example. Let's go to Spring Core again, back to Spring Core, right? Somewhere you'll see instantiation which is not available in Spring Core, Spring Boot, right? Let me show you that using Spring Core, right? SRC main Java, not this. Here we go. So we have a concept called instantiation, right? Look at this class A, right? Class A, and if it is a private, right, immediately your Java configuration, right? Where is the Java configuration? Instantiate main.java. Okay, fine. Let me write the Java configuration here. Right click new class. Sorry, let me move this everything into Spring Boot core, right? Going forward, everything is going to be Spring Boot core. So let me create a new class. Yeah, give a package. Com with Spring Boot is package is instance. Yeah. Okay, so let's write a zero argument constructor. Sorry, private zero argument constructor. Yeah, inside this, let's give some message, right? A object created through private zero private zero constructor. Yes. So if I write a Java configuration, then I will get a compilation error because in Java it won't be possible, right? So first let me start one main class. Main. Yeah, if I just try with the native Java, right? If I try to do a equals to new a, then compiler will give left and right, right? Compiler will show an error saying that constructor A is not visible, right? So private, if a class has a private constructor that cannot be instantiated outside of this package by using new operator, basic Java, right? The same concept is applicable for Spring Java configuration also. So it's going to be Java config, right? Java config, and here we will write a method which going to return object of A, ID is A, and here we will write new A. And immediately you get a comparison because A has a private constructor; it cannot be instantiated, right? This we already know. Nothing is new. But the things will work when you play with XML configuration. So let me write one simple XML configuration here. New file instance -config config.xml. So let me copy the root tag bean standard. Just let me go copy paste this. From string point 5 onwards, specifying the version is completely not required. You just say spring beans dot xst. It will automatically pick the appropriate version based xst. It is not required in the latest versions. So that's why I deleted that version. So bean class equals to, what is the package form? Win string dot boot, right? It's one word, right? Spring boot dot instance, okay, dot a. Still a has private zero argument constructor, right? This is my XML configuration. What I will do, I'll just go to my main.java. First, let's convert this into a Spring Boot application. Then annotate this with the Spring Boot application. Inside my main method, what should I do? I should add this code snippet, right? Spring application dot run. So the first argument is the primary class, which is main class, and the second argument is args. Good. Let's write command line run up. First load that XML configuration. So which annotation I should use here to load the XML configuration in Spring Boot
At
application?
import resource.
Exactly. At import resource. Here I should specify locations, right? Import resource locations. We have to pass array of strings. So it is present inside class path colon. What is the file name? Instance.config.xml. Okay, I want to put this inside a folder, folder, and I want to give the name as instance, right? Yeah, move this XML file into instance.config.xml. Why this error is coming? Well, from
Remove this next one, Sunil.
there is one extra tag. Yeah. Okay. So now we loaded that XML into our Spring Boot application. Good. I just want to print proof, right? Saying that a class object created. I know this is bad practice. Just for demo purpose, I'm showing. Context equals to this one, and I get object of a. Context dot get bean of type a class, right? So just get a class. So you see that I no need to see, I no need to show this. You itself, you can notice that this message will be printed, right? Red in color, system.error printed. So you notice this, this is going to be executed. In Java, it's a compile time error, right? So compiler itself won't allow you to do that. So for now, just to solve this error, I will return now. Okay, right? Yeah, but in XML, the things will work as expected. The A object will get created. So which is a proof? XML is using reflection. Content is not allowed prolog. Line 1 in XML is invalid. Okay, while loading that XML file. Oh, sorry. I should forget to give the name, right? I should give the name here. I forgot to give the instance. I should give instance slash instance hyphen config.xml. That's why there is an error came. Let's rerun. Class path colon instance slash config.xml. See, now that object created, right? In Java it is not possible, but in XML it is possible because XML uses reflection API. Okay. Yeah. So we will see one more example with the static factory. Right? Just copy this static factory demo into this package. So here, let's remove this. It's a simple static factory class. So whoever wants to create this object, they want to call, they want to call create static factory demo. They're not supposed to call a new operator. They're not. I mean, if they want to create this object by using Reflection API, it's okay, but they don't get few benefits, right? So if you want to call, get the full benefits of static factory demo, then you must call this Alt Shift R, right? So whoever wants to get an object of the static factory, so we set them published an API, call this create static factory demo, then you will get some extra benefits, right? So in Java, it's a straightforward. So how do you gonna do that? You call, yeah, let me write it really. Public static factory demo, right? And you give method name as static factory demo. This is small. That is what is the ID. And here inside this method, you do say return. If you try to call new static factory demo, it won't be allowed because by default the static factory demo has private constructor, right? It is not possible. Then you should call this, right? Static factory demo dot create static factory demo. So this is how you do in the Java configuration. But how do you do it using XML? Because XML uses reflection directly, right? So if you configure bean static factory demo, sorry, it's not bean, it's a configuration. So this is Java, right? So in Java, it's pretty easy creating static factory demo. But in XML configuration, the things are little different, right? Let's configure this in the XML configuration. So if you do write something like this, bean class equals to the package com spring boot dot static factory demo, and you do expect that okay, this is going to be created, this object is going to be created. Uh, yeah. So we do think that this object is going to be created by executing static factory method, but it won't happen in XML configuration because XML by default use reflection, then it will directly execute zero argument constructor instead of executing static factory demo. So let me run and show you that. So you will get an idea, right? In Java, it is not possible, right? In Java, it is a straightforward. In Java, it is a straightforward. We are executing this method, right? It is not possible to call the zero private constructor. So in Java, it's clear, but when it is coming to XML, little confusion, right? So if I just go ahead and run this, instead of executing static factory method, it will execute executing static factory demo class, right? Constructor argument. So let me change it to error so that you will get a better idea. Static factory demo, instead of printing out, let's print an error. Here also error, and here executing zero arg my singleton constructor, right? Executing zero arg my singleton constructor. Executing zero arg my singleton constructor. So this message is printed just because of our Java configuration. And now let's disable this. Java is straightforward, right? We don't have any problem. But the problem with XML. So let's run this. Now the things, I mean, for static factory, we're gonna executing zero arg my singleton, right? Executing zero arg my singleton. So this is something wrong, right? This is something wrong. And what should we do? Instead of executing zero argument constructor, there is a static factory. Yeah, instead of executing zero argument constructor, we wanted to execute this create static factor, right? We don't want to execute a zero argument constructor. So how do we instruct in XML, right? XML configuration, how do we do that, right? So to whenever you want to do intentional execution of static factory method, then you have to configure factory method, right? Factory method. So what is the factory method in the static factory demo? Create static factory demo. So this is the method name. So just some typo mistake. Let's add that. So let's copy that same thing here also static. Right. So instead of executing zero argument constructor, now Spring will execute actual method. Actual method. We will change the method name, right? Yeah. Let's change here also. Okay, so instead of executing zero argument constructor, now Spring will execute this. So you don't see executing zero myarg singleton constructor. You will see only executing create static factory demo method, right? Create static factory demo static method to create object, right? You will see this message printed on the console instead of printing executing zero arg constructor. So let's go to main class and rerun the code. You see the object created through this one, not this one, executing constructor create static factory demo class, right? So it will call this method, but actually as part of this one, right? This is printing this message, right? This is printing this message. That's why you are saying two printed, but actually Spring calls this method now, right? Spring creates static factory demo object by executing this method, not private, right? But this problem only for XML configuration. For Java, we don't have anything. Okay, for Java there is no problem. So something like this, how we have a static factory demo, where do you see some instance factory, right? Instance factory. So if it is an instance factory, the things are little complicated. In XML, Java no problem, we already know that. In XML, right, how it looks like, it looks like something like this. So if it is an instance factory, it won't have any class tag. It won't have any class tag. It is a straightforward. It is a straightforward. You to use factory method, which method you have to execute it, and on which bean you want to execute it. So because instance factory cannot be individually developed, right? So instance factory means, so it cannot be individually developed. So it has to be tied up with the static factory. So that's why that configuration looks something hard to understand. I know, but anyway, we don't use this is a very corner scenario. So if you wanted to do an instance factory, then no class tag will be available. It's going to be combination of factory method and factory bean. Okay, but anyway, you can ignore that. Just have an idea. Instance factory design pattern, right? So it's going to be achieved like this. So you will get a lot of confusion if I explain this. Right, up to static factory is fine. Up to static factory, if you are clear, then the things will be good. But when it is coming to Java configuration, yeah, whatever the rules are applicable for compiler and Java, still applicable for Java configuration. So that's why the things are straightforward in Java configuration. Then we will, I mean, the problem will come when we go to the XML configuration, because XML uses reflection API. So in XML, you have to explicitly configure when you want to execute a static factory, right? When you want to execute static factory instead of executing private constructor, that you have to configure explicitly. Okay? So this is all about bean instantiation types in Spring. Okay. So the same thing you can notice in the Spring documentation also, right? In Spring, the same thing you can found that in the documentation also. Spring framework documentation. Boot you won't talk, that's what I'm telling. Boot this much detailed information won't be available. So the details will be very in detail when we go to Spring framework documentation. So whatever we are learning, it's a combination of Spring framework and Spring Boot, right? So the core concepts we are learning from Spring framework, and we are making applying to Spring Boot, right? Spring framework learn reference documentation. Okay, there are multiple modules, right? Till now, whatever we discussed is a core module, the entire code, whatever we are discussing, right? So the topic we covered just now is under IOC. Yeah, being overview. Instantiating. That is what the topic we cover now. Instantiating, right? So the instance factor is most confusing topic. We don't have in very rare scenario, we don't need to break our brain to our brain to we don't need to break our brain to understand this concept instance factory. Just up to with the constructor, with the static factory, you have to be very clear. Sorry, with the constructor Java configuration, no problem. The problem with only XML, because XML uses reflection API, right? XML uses reflection API. So whenever you want to instantiate an object using static factory singleton design pattern, right? Static factory, so you have to use you have to specify factory method in XML configuration. Java, it's a straightforward. There is no problem. Okay. Yes. So this is all about Spring Core documentation. We are with this we are done fully, right? All the core concept, like mostly 70 to 80% we covered in Spring Core. Okay, Spring Core. And yeah, Spring Boot, right? We are taking every concept from Spring Core and we are executing with Spring Boot, right? So and there are few core concepts in Spring Boot also, like profile management, logging, externalized configuration, right? So these things are Spring Boot concepts. So don't get confused whenever you are doing the practice, right? So whatever the documentation we are seeing here is a combination of Spring 2 documentations, right? So we will take concepts, few concepts from core, but all the time we will try to execute with Spring Boot only. Okay, and on top of that we discussed few Spring Boot concepts. Okay, so there are some topics are available like internationalization, JSON, right? So we're not going to discuss each topic here. We will go and pick modules from core, right? Spring framework, not Spring Boot, right? So again we go back to the Spring framework. So whatever the modules are specified here, core, we completed, right? It internally has AOP. We will have a separate session for AOP. With that we are done with the core. Then we will have a session like testing, one module, data access, again another module, right? So data access talks about JDBC. So for data access, we don't directly learn this, right? JDBC alone we will learn from here. For data access, we have another project from Spring called Spring.io projects. The project name is Spring Data. So this is what is recommended to learn about Spring database in connection. But in this we have many modules, right? JDBC, JPA, NoSQL database. Again, NoSQL database individual module. They have separate implementations. They have MongoDB, one of the NoSQL database flavor. So Cassandra is another flavor. So we have different modules for MongoDB and Cassandra, right? Something like this. There are so many implementations are available. We will be learning JDBC from Spring Framework and Data JPA from Spring Data, right? Data JPA from Spring Data, Data JPA. Okay, and reactive right now. Okay, actually, right now in the JDBC API, which is introduced by Java, is a blocking API. Okay, blocking API. So it won't be fit. It won't be fit for reactive programming. For reactive programming, we have to use Spring Data R2 DBC, relational. Uh, what is the abbreviation? Let me check. A reactive relational database connectivity. What is the abbreviation? Reactive relational database connectivity. At this point of time, it is supporting only Postgre, HQ, and by Microsoft SQL Server. Right? There is something is missing, right? What is that?
Oracle.
Yeah, world's most favorite database, Oracle, right? But right now, no Oracle support. Not sure why. I don't know what is the conflict between Spring and Oracle, but somehow Spring reactive programming, we don't have anything reactive is supporting, right? Spring is supporting it. Maybe in the futures they may provide Oracle support, even MySQL, right? MySQL. Actually, it was with the Spring Sun Micro system. after Oracle bought Sun Microsystem, now again MySQL went into Oracle umbrella, right? Now again Microsoft MySQL is under Oracle, but see Microsoft SQL Server they are supporting. I don't know what all this
A-
Spring Boot
Actually, actually, reactive framework is introduced by
by
Microsoft
Microsoft.
now.
Yeah.
So
That's why they would have supporting it. But
I
Java
think that is the
introduced by
only project successful from that side.
yeah. Then they are slowly adapting this open source like TypeScript, right? TypeScript and TypeScript is from Microsoft. Like all Angular and React.js adapt like my TypeScript, right? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The things are little different. Actually, Spring built on top of Java, and they are not supporting Oracle. I don't know. It's like fully their enterprise level, right? Business modules. So we don't know what exactly is happening. But future, in the future, we do see so many databases. They will adapt this reactive programming. So this entire JDBC API has to be rewritten. Might be Java is working on it. Not sure what is their plan, and they have to wait more to get more area. At this point of time, Spring reactive and not Spring reactive, MongoDB is fully supporting reactive programming, right? So this is what is pure reactive supporting, right? So, but for sure, like after 2 years, 3 years, there are so many modules we'll be adding here, or Java itself will introduce a different reactive JDBC API. We don't know. This R2DBC is not a Java specification; it's a Spring specification. Whatever the APIs are going to be provided, it's only from Spring, not by the Java, right? So we need to wait. Does Java introduce any JDBC API for reactive programming? Yeah. So I don't know. The things are a little logging with respect to Java, right? I'm not able to understand why Java is. I mean, why Java is not introducing, why other people are introducing. I'm not able to understand why the Java is logging here, right? Um, Java is a bit slow in reactive programming, right? Other frameworks are coming and introducing their own technology, but we don't feel right. Companies and developers won't feel comfortable using their own API directly. We feel comfortable using Java API. The example is JDBC, right? We want some standardized code, right? Underlying architecture, what is available, we don't know, right? We don't want to worry about. So, for example, servlet API, right? So we don't know how Tomcat is going to how Tomcat is going to implement this, how WebLogic is going to implement this, how WebSphere, JBoss, right? We learn only one API, which internally supports by so many servers, right? We don't want to focus server level, right? So because which server going to be used by which company, we don't know. So that's why we don't focus on server level APIs. We always focus on Java APIs, but somehow Java is really lagging in this area, reactive area, right? So we need to wait for some more days. Yes. But anyway, let's come back. We are done with the core, right? From tomorrow, we will jump into RESTful web services, right? You start writing your first microservice from tomorrow. Actually, it's not from tomorrow. It's from maybe it will take one more day because I don't directly take you to Spring Boot. Then you don't understand what is the benefit you want to get with Spring Boot, right? First, we will start with the Servlet API. Then we will jump into Spring native MVC, right? Spring MVC, plain MVC. Then we will finally write a RESTful web service using Spring Boot. Then you will understand what is the exact benefit you're going to get when you start writing Spring Boot application. Okay, Spring Boot MVC. So you have to bear some more time, right? So to go to Spring Boot RESTful web services. So once we jump into Spring Boot MVC, then we will write our first microservice um, to expose like exposing our first web service as a microservice, right? RESTful web service as microservice. So first we will start with Servlet API, then we will jump into MVC. And you see the clear difference between Servlet API and Spring MVC. Then we will jump into Spring Boot MVC. Then you will understand, okay, how the Spring Boot is going to make developers' life easy. Okay, but underlying architecture is still same. That is going to be discussed from tomorrow. So tomorrow is Saturday. What do we do? Do we have a long session, or shall we continue on same timeline? And do you want to practice the topics whatever we discussed till now?
I think I want to practice.
Okay, so we will do regular session 8:15 to 9:45 our time. Okay, 8:15 to 9:45 a.m. IST. Okay, so it's like I'm just gonna take 1.5 hours. Okay, let's think like 2 hours I'm going to take, right? 2 hours out of your 24 hours. Right, you have 22 hours, right? 22 hours on weekend. So will you do practice like every day 3 hours? Like tomorrow 3 hours and day after tomorrow 3 hours. And you should do all assignments and all the topics whatever we discussed. Okay, till now all the topics: Java, Maven, Spring Core and Spring Boot Core, right? So minimum 6 hours of hands-on you have to do on this weekend. Okay, can we have a deal like that?
Yes, Sunil.
Okay, yeah, so like this weekend it's going to be like a spring weekend for you guys. It's like full hands-on. Every program whatever I wrote it in my session, you have to do it on hands-on, right? Yeah, but parallelly we will continue with our Servlet API, MVC, Spring Boot, right? Yeah, so it's going to be our regular session. So at least minimum 3 hours per day. Okay, if you do 5-6 hours, it's good. If you complete everything, it's good. But I can understood sitting these many hours and continuously practicing. They split it, right? Morning 1.5 hour, evening 1.5 hour. Yeah, you split it into 3 categories: morning, afternoon, evening. Like just do complete all the trainings, right? Do complete all the training examples and assignments, right? So you feel I mean you get a better idea, because from once we jump into Spring MVC, it's like fully hands-on, no more theory. Every topic we're gonna take, for example, exception handling in microservices, right? We do fully hands-on, right? And our first microservice, it's fully hands-on, right? I do 1 or 2 examples. The remaining APIs you have to do, right? You have to write, right? Minimum crude operations, right? Get all, create, right? Read, create, delete, update. So I may write one create, one read, then the remaining things you have to complete. So it's like fully hands-on. So daily 1 hour you have to dedicate it, right? You must dedicate 1 hour for practicing going forward. But weekends, whatever the sessions we completed till now and whatever the practice we did till now, right? Just do hands-on, right? Any session, any topic you feel okay, I already know, skip that and go to the next topic and try to complete all the assignments. I will share a sheet today, maybe day, tomorrow morning, right? And daily basis whatever all the topics we discussed, and daily whatever the assignments that I give, right? It will be good for you to track. Okay, so tomorrow same time 8:15 sharp. Any questions before we wind up the session?
Sunday will be break. No?
um, we will have 1.5 hour session, right? And Sunday also just 1.5 hour session. You want a break? At least
Yeah.
till the lockdown, let's continue, right? After lockdown, I will give a break. That's what I thought. We are still doing work from home, right? No traveling, nothing. So can we have a session on Sunday? What do you say? You want break, everybody? Then I'm okay.
Yeah, we want to practice all these things.
Yeah, but I don't want to lose your this, like we are just doing something continuously on daily basis, right? We are just doing something on continuously on daily basis, or else we do take some kind of hands-on, something, anything you want to connect it and write some code, let me know. You just think about it, right? Or else you want a break? Yeah, let's have a break on Sunday.
Yeah. Yes.